Well, here's a few news articles that I thought were interesting. Yes, have to join this. Well, we'll forget about that one. All right, so this I've heard was the real reason why the Federalist Society remade the Supreme Court the way they did. It's not really abortion. That was just the sales pitch to trick people into going along with it. What they really wanted was this. They wanted to remove Chevron deference. And Chevron deference was the decision that said that the regulatory agencies in the American government have the right to regulate things. That's administrative law. And what that means is if the experts at the regulatory agencies say something about pollution or food safety or health care, the judges will defer to the opinions of the experts unless they are very unreasonable. That's the idea. And that led to regulations. So now somebody like the Environmental Protection Agency was able to just pass a rule like limiting the tailpipe exhausts of cars, and they don't have to go to Congress and get that approved. And this was a major goal of the remaking of the Supreme Court, was to get rid of this, and they got rid of it. So there are now hundreds of lawsuits going by, and the right says this is removing unnecessary red tape and making it so business can make more money. The left said this is making us all live in a more dangerous, dirty world. And anyway, but that's the big one. That's what I've heard. This is the one that will make a ton of money for the corporations, and this is why they really funded the 50-year campaign to remake the Supreme Court and pass this through. Anyway, it did happen, so we'll see what happens. Around the time of the Civil War, the Supreme Court was also extremely corrupt, doing terrible things, and we were eventually able to reverse it, so we'll see. So this is a pretty funny article at Slate, and I must say I agree with it. These are talking about team building. Team building exercises are just horrible. They're like some kind of amateur pop psychologist made up this idiocy. Like I remember they talked about a good one here where people would have to go on a mountain hike and help each other, and they just stranded somebody, left him behind on the mountain to die. They seem to frequently result in the opposite. Donald Trump is a recommended channel. Oh, I didn't know he even had a Twitch channel. I don't know where the recommendations are. I never see them, but yeah. Well, it might be. Anyway, all right. So TikTok is defending themselves. Now, the U.S. government wants to ban TikTok, and they argue this is because they're collecting data, which, by the way, is complete garbage, because Facebook is collecting more data. They're selling data like crazy in America. I really don't think the data collection is a problem. The problem is political bias on the channel. But anyway, TikTok is defending themselves by claiming that other Chinese companies are collecting this as much data, which is a very unwise way to defend themselves, in my opinion. I think the appetite is large in America to just ban all Chinese companies, and that's the more likely result. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but the TikTok ban is not going into effect. It's struggling through the courts. Free speech is the other side. So Cloudflare is apparently going to work as a data broker. They will let you limit letting AI scrape your content, and they will arrange for you to get money by selling that access. So that's an interesting idea. This is an important issue in the future. Anybody that has actual content generated by humans has useful data for training machine learning, and it's probably worth something. We'll see how this works. Elon Musk has said he's going to launch 5 starships to Mars in 2 years. They will be unmanned. There'll be robot ships, and also he usually promises stuff and he doesn't hit the target at all. But Elon Musk is serious about colonizing Mars. We'll see what comes of all this. He's convinced that this is his greatest accomplishment to save the human race by moving us to Mars before we destroy this planet. He talks about half the U.S. population has neurological damage. Oh, well, Voice Bahia, I had that feeling, but the fact is I think it's all over the world. In Austria, in Paris, in UK, I think all over the world, anti-immigrant, racist, essentially fascist parties are rising. It's not special to the U.S. I think we're no worse and no better than anybody else. We all have a huge fascist movement. So I never knew this. The governments are worried about H5N1. H5N1 is the bird flu, and it has not spread to humans yet. But if it does, it would have a very high death rate. I've heard people predict it up to like 50% death rate, which would be horrible. So they need a vaccine, but they haven't funded creating a retroviral vaccine with RNA like they did for COVID. And they're hoping to use Tamiflu, but apparently Tamiflu is garbage. Apparently, Merck, that generated Tamiflu, falsified the research studies claiming it was effective, and it's not effective. They cherry-picked the data and stuff. So they are stockpiling this stuff, but it's going to be useless. So that's not good. Hopefully this thing will not spread beyond the cows and people that work closely with cows who's getting it now. But if it does transmit human to human, we'll be in big trouble. Another big pandemic without a ready supply of a vaccine that will actually work. All right, I'm going to stop this recording.